Welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of DC Finest, Justice Society of America for American Democracy. This is volume 1, though it's not stated as volume 1. There's no volume 1 anywhere around there. But you can see they've got this lovely 1940 to 1942, tells you the details there. So obviously when you build up your collection of these books, you'll be able to see the thing that there's no volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and you can see that continued on the back. You can see 1940, 40. I think it's going to be quite nice. And you can see it finishes at 2011. So maybe they'll be doing a modern sort of DC Finest series to include all the later stuff. But they've obviously gone for that list of dates. Also, notice here, 1938, it does mean, I assume, unless they are, because there is a gap there, maybe there will be 1937, 1936. It would be nice if they did like New Fun and all those sort of ones as well. But who knows? I'm always happy that any Golden Age material is reprinted. Though, of course, this was reprinted in the archives, DC Archives, great series. And they did include issue 1 and 2 of All-Star Comics. In this case, the first issue is All-Star 3. The reason, I guess, is that, of course, it wasn't the Justice Society of America at that point. Though there is a mistake here. I noticed DC Finest, I'm certain other people pointed this out as well, Justice League of America. I think they meant Justice Society of America, but still, let's just go through the book. I think it's great, got 600 odd pages, and it is the equivalent, of course, of this one, the complete as well as epics from Marvel. It's really great that DC Finest, or DC, have finally got around to do the series. Let's hope they continue for the next 10, 15, 20 years producing these brilliant books. And it is a lovely 600 odd page book. This one was about £25, £26. Initially, I think it was about 36 on the listing. So it went down a bit. And I'm going to probably be doing that. I'm going to wait and see what's actually happening. I might pre-order them, quite often do pre-order, but I'm certainly not going to go when the price drops a little bit. There, All-Star Comics number 3, winter issue. They did that, of course, quite a bit. They didn't say like February or January. It was quarterly, so they come out quarterly, so you have the winter. And you got all the characters. Now, these were the minor characters gathered in the Justice Society club room. I love that way, that sort of club. And you got, obviously, Dr. Fate, Green Lantern. I mean, Green Lantern did have his own comic, but as soon as I think they got sort of a quarterly, then I think they dropped out because, of course, you've got Superman and Batman had quarterly, as Wonder Woman did as well. Obviously, she comes a bit later after issue 8. But you got here other ones, Dr. Fate, Owlman, and those sort of ones, the Atom. They never got the Atom quarterly. I think they should have done, but they didn't. So obviously they were not. They were all like in Adventure Comics or those sort of things. And also maybe All Flash or, Flash Comics or whatever. Those things. Wouldn't have been in All Flash, would it? That would have made no sense. So you've got Dr. Fate. Now the stories in this case, that's obviously that's Johnny Thunder as well. Poor Johnny Thunder has been left out, and you can see the comics there. You can see obviously Fun Comics, Flash Comics, All American Comics, etc. These characters were all separate adventures. I always thought it was slightly odd the way they did it. You'd sort of have a story. You got obviously the Flash there. It would have been nice if they had a sort of banner, a little banner, maybe a small banner across the top, so you could see the split. Back when they were printed, obviously, initially, and the artwork is really superb. I think it's very, very, very sharp. Looks great. Love the Flash there, sort of swimming away. Don't generally see him swimming away in stories. Perhaps you do. But I guess then they would have had the pages of adverts in between, so you would have separated the stories. So I found it slightly odd when the stories you got here like Flash. Luckily, they did have a break at the bottom there just to give a bit of a clue that it was another story. And of course, you've got Hawkman there, and of course, Hawkgirl as well. And there's obviously Hawkman again. Now, Hawkgirl probably turned up a few times in the Avengers, but unfortunately, she was never part of the Justice Society of America. Eventually, I'm certain she did turn up a lot more. But of course, Black Canary was in there a lot later, and also Wonder Woman. Now, you've also got the artwork changes quite a lot. Now, I don't know if it was the artist that did the comic books, so Adventure Comics doing sort of Spectre and Dr. Fate, etc. I don't know if they were the artists they used here, but it's still great to see. Great to see all the sort of change of art, so you can see. But it does occasionally jar. Quite often you suddenly, right, we're on to the Owlman story. Now we're on to the... I don't know if they did them in the same order all the time either, in the different issues. I really wish they had gone like more the Avengers approach, where they went out as a team and not always battling everyone separately. I always thought that was a major disadvantage, because quite often they would have problems they would get captured or something, and of course they would all be grouped together at the end, and then they would have a sort of final battle, maybe 2 or 3 pages. And often it was very short. You got obviously there Dr. Fate with the story of dead phantoms risen from. So you've got a mix of stories like here. You've got, like I say, galactic. You've got zombies in here, sort of appearing, very unusual Egyptian zombies in this case. Oh, now you do have occasional split here to make. No, was that a split between? No, it was definitely a split, and you can see there. Next issue of All Star Comics for the announcements, of course, like Superman and Batman. You've got, of course, Green Lantern there, and the Atom. The Atom didn't have any powers at this point. It was a bit later. He got some powers, so he was just basically a regular guy. He was, fairly strong, and he could do quite a few things that probably most people could never possibly do. But that's not the point. And then you've got the end sort of things. You've got all the various characters. Obviously, Flash, Green Lantern. They're all going off and rounds the story up. Green Lantern there. I love the Green Lantern stories. They're always good. Now, this one doesn't actually follow so much that storyline with that sort of round up story. They did that quite a lot later. Certainly in this case, you can see it was still the Green Lantern story at this point. And then on to the final roundup when they're meeting again at the end. Seems to be fine. I thought next Tuesday, there's going to be another crime by that point, so we can all meet up. And you got here All Star Comics Quarterly #1 and 2. Weird they called it that. Quarterly. Wonderful reception gave to All Star Comics Quarterly. You never see it on the front, Quarterly. But of course, at this point, no, looks like straight away it's virtually changing at this point. So you got here, and I guess that's the one that maybe, no, they're not discussing. Oh, bi-monthly. Yes, it's saying it's going bi-monthly. That would have been a weird title change, wouldn't it? They'd change it. But there you got, obviously, the cover there, the same as there. 10 cents it was. 10 cents, great value, I think. It's just a great stories. They're really, you've got the Green Lantern there, obviously battling away. As always, of course, a piece of wood would hit him on the head or something, and that would be a problem for it. Would be sort of. But luckily, he's got his, of course, there. The Green Lantern gives his potent lamp, as it says there. And then on to the Spectre. And again, Spectre. Oh, this one's a bit more of an earthbound story, but there's always the evil villain that he's battling there. And Dr. Fate again, this time facing a few, looks like lots of Nazis there, spies that operate. And then again, you can see the art style, like I say, keep changing. It's very odd. Slightly, you'd be weird, wouldn't it, see the Avenger comics sort of doing that in separate stories, and you suddenly have one, Wanda or Scarlet Witch in one art style, and then suddenly change. And then you've got the Atom. Like I say, he's pretty strong. Look at it, he's pushing away there. The fatherland stuff, as it says there, and he's bashing away. So on to the next story. And probably I'd see what this one is. The roll call. He's got so much the same characters there. You can see it's quite a long list. I'm certain that when this was on the newsstand, you would rush to buy this one, June, July. I can well imagine this must have been one of the fairly big sellers compared with all the others. Or maybe they were all big sellers. I guess Superman was obviously #1, but there's Sandman there and Flash again. Like I say, always slightly disconcerting jump in the storyline, especially when they're side by side. Suddenly it's jumped. Ooh, now we're on to Sandman. Now, Sandman, in this case, he was still in his suit, but he was later changed to the more like Kirby Sandman that more familiar with. Well, certainly for a fair amount of time. Oh, there's Hawkgirl again. Now, Hawkgirl again, she turns up quite a bit actually in the storyline, even though she's never officially sort of like a member in it. She's obviously got a medical problem there. Hawkman appears each month, I should say, in Flash Comics. Don't miss it. So it was great advertising, I guess, as well. And again, good old Owlman again, which was always a problem, of course. He'd always run out of his powers just at a vital point. It was always a bit silly, wasn't it? But still, there's good old Spectre again. And then on to, let's see, another story. They got same sort of characters they had before. Now, quite often, I think virtually all of the stories, there was never any story that continued on. They didn't seem to do that back then. Maybe they did in some, I don't know, but I'm not familiar with many stories. And even the villains, there's probably some, maybe in Justice Society of America, maybe appeared a few times. I don't know. Certainly, it was generally, most of them, of course, were just gangs or mysterious masterminds or evil villains that want to do some various things to rule the world or whatever. And you got their All American Comics. I love these adverts. And I wish DC would include more of them. They don't always include. Sometimes they blank this bit out. They put like a big G or something, or JSA, and then they would leave it. But at least they've nice Dr. Midnight story there, just stuck in the thing. sort of one you could imagine. There's 6 pages of a Dr. Midnight in every issue of all American comics. And another important announcement. And what's the important announcement this time? Because you've got a picture of there, obviously Superman and Batman as well. This is on sale everywhere about on August the 25th. So good one there. Obviously this one's War Orphan one. Right, so that's issue 7. And again, Johnny Thunder, all the various characters. And again, you've got obviously, actually, no, he never became, of course, official part. What was his name? Dibbles or something, wasn't it? Something like that. Anyway, on to the next Hawkman story. And like I say, all the way through this, lots and lots of stories. So if you come into a comic book, you've got about, if you probably say 8 stories time, you've got about 60, 70 separate stories in here if you actually count them up with all the different storylines. And then on to this one, which I think, I'm certain, was the one where Wonder Woman appears. But unfortunately, she doesn't actually appear in this one. They've just sort of like left her off. But you've got Superman and Batman there again. And it's weird because they didn't appear. They didn't appear in these comics. Certainly, I think there was a couple of adventures where they did appear, but they were too powerful. Well, Superman especially. But then again, Spectre's probably more powerful than Superman. So they were a very unusually powered team. I mean, you had like Starman, who obviously was a bit more, like in many ways, Green Lantern. There was quite a bit of overpower. And again, you got Hawk Girl there, still not a member of the Justice Society of America. And you got this lovely, I love these ones. They include some, but I'm certain there were lots of these one-pagers that they haven't included in this. Now, please put in the comments below if I'm completely wrong on that. I don't think they included them also in the DC archives either. So it's, but I'm quite certain these sort of ones. And if you go on the JCD, you'd see a list of all the stories, and they normally put one pages. I'd love to have seen some of those. Would have been nice. There's, of course, good old Atom again. But the artwork's always wonderful. Again, another Nazi story there. Obviously, Nazi propaganda, as it says there. And you got good old Owlman there. Republic of Brazil, larger in area than the United States. Oh, green, etc., etc. So we've got a bit of there. And Bolivia, always going all over the place with Starman. Again, they're all still separate adventures as they go off. Dr. Midnight, etc. And then on to the end. And again, they often would sort of, you get the group in at the end, all the characters would turn up together. Sometimes, of course, solving the problems. Sometimes, of course, it'd be mysterious sort of reveal that one of the characters had not been zapped at some point, and then they would release all the others, those sort of storylines. It's always good. And then you got this sort of one, which must have been absolutely epic back in the day. I love those sort of stories now. I mean, whenever you have like Thor goes into the future, or sort of the Avengers go into the future, I always remember the Kang ones, of course. Those great ones. And this back then, 1940s, just to have that. Well, I suppose saying that, you've got all, of course, the science fiction books would have had stories where people are in the future, but it follows that sort of storyline, doesn't it? Again, you've got Superman on there. I love the fact they include Superman on the cover. Really? Good bit of advertising, I guess, for the thing, but it would have been such a disappointment when you actually go in here and, see, honorary members at this point, Superman, Batman, Flash, and Green Lantern. So they've sort of been sort of sidelined off. But then you can see there, of course, there it is at that point. There's the JSA. See, these characters didn't have their quarterly magazine, so they were not included. But you've got the Atom there, and you've got Dr. Fate still. And I look at that. Again, he seems always... Yeah, undersea adventure there. Why does he? So he goes around space. I've noticed there's a few scenes where he's like flying, and then for some weird reason, when he goes into the water, he needs to have them. It's very strange. Why? And on to, of course, good old Spectre there. The Spectre brings it down to a terrific force. At least he didn't change him into wood or something, because that was the sort of thing back. I always remember in the 70s and things. And of course, you got looking a bit like the Fly there, isn't he? Johnny Thunder there. What I'm not certain actually why he needs that, since he's got obviously his Thunderbolt that he can do various things there that surely would be able to drag him around. He needs to obviously. But then, again, the artwork is just so weird. It is weird seeing it. I mean, I love that Hawkman one, but it's just so odd when you suddenly see the other one, Johnny Thunder. Of course, I say Flash is not appearing anymore, but now we got Wonder Woman. Though at this point, I suppose she didn't have sort of a Wonder Woman comic at that point. It was probably in Sensation Comics. But I think she certainly did. So did she drop out of the thing by that, or was it just quarterly issues that was the reason that they couldn't appear? And now, of course, got Sandman, slightly different from obviously the earlier Sandman, and actually a little more traditional sort of superhero costumes in his old suit, which I suppose is a bit of a throwback to those sort of like detective comics ones from the obviously 1930s and early 1940s. And then Dr. Midnight, and then his lovely Owl, Walkman again, and all the way through to the end. And of course, at this point, some very, very unusual bits of, and Dr. Fate. And I think that's about it. That's a run through of all the comics. Unfortunately, as always with these ones, with these DC finest and also all DC ones, they do not put many extras. Really quite a disappointment when it comes to extras. And got a little bit here, but Hop Harrigan. Forgive me for interrupting my good friend the Atom, which is weird because the story had finished at that point, so you're not interrupting. And then on to these comics. I wish they would include more of these lovely adverts, but they didn't. And also, of course, ink pages, but I guess perhaps lots of those ink pages are long, long gone. But it would have been nice to include a few things, surely some photos maybe of the kids looking at those sort of things, maybe some articles from Alter Ego, because they did lots and lots of brilliant articles. And it would be nice if they included some information about this sort of period, to give some context for the stories. I think that would have been quite a nice addition at the back. But you've got that. That's it. Just that advert. But you have got this. You've got these, obviously, Superman, Batman. I think this could get a bit out of hand in future times if you had lots and lots of them, because once they get to about 50 or 60, it's going to be very hard to keep this sort of consistent design. It's going to be pages of them. There will be very small thumbnails, wouldn't they, all over it. Of course, you've got Catwoman coming out. I don't know, that's not out yet, I don't think. The Superboy one, Supergirl one, that one's out. The Legion one actually surprised me. I recently just got that, and I was thinking it was going to be a lot later, but that came. Looking forward to that one, Aquaman, and the Green Arrow one, which I'm certain is going to be very good as well. But I love this. I love these stories. Any golden age, they're great. Now, they're not for everyone. The stories are probably they're more sort of gang-based, or obviously Nazi-based, or Japanese, fighting the Japanese World War II themed stories like that. But I still absolutely love these sort of stories. They're absolutely great. Certainly, you have to read them, obviously, with that in mind, that they are definitely of their time. But I love it, and I'm really pleased that DC Finest is finally out, and I love the series. I will be buying, I'm certain, many of these DC Finest. As I say, it's equivalent of the Marvel ones. I love the Marvel epics, though for me, most of the epics now are covered. I've got all the stories that I really, really, really want. Obviously, always buying things. I always think, oh, you know what, that'd be a great set of stories. But certainly for the Silver Age and those sort of things. But it's great that DC Finest, at least they're going for the golden age. I hope they do lots of 50s ones as well. There is virtually 90%, I think, of the 50s DC comics just not available in any shape or form. They occasionally bring out an occasional weird one, like recently Detective Chimp or something. But other than that, most of the stories are still in the archive. So this hopefully is a sign that they will be bringing out lots of great books like Plastic Man, one that I'm looking forward to as well. Anyway, are you going to get this one? You're going to pick this up? Please put in the comments below if you're going to pick this one, or you have no interest whatsoever in the Golden Age ones, and you'll mainly be sticking to like Batman ones or the Green Arrow one, that sort of thing. Also, will you be also interested in 50s ones? And please put in the comments which ones you think that you'd love to see. Some more of the obscure ones, series on like Hourman. I don't think Hourman's ever been. I'm not certain that there was a archive one of Hourman. I know there's definitely was Starman got one, just one volume. Also Spectre, I think he got one volume. Sandman got one volume. And I think they just abruptly ended. So it wasn't, so I don't think we got every single thing. The only thing that comes to mind is like the Green Arrow omnibus, where we had a lot of material. But things like the Flash, they were going to bring an omnibus out for that Golden Age one. That mysteriously suddenly vanished. So love it. Brilliant book. Please subscribe to the channel. Obviously, always adding various videos about books, DC, as well as Marvel, and many others, of course. And also like or dislike, always appreciated. Bye.